Everything they told you about anger was lies. I'll tell you a story how I went from a low potential kid to one of the outperformers of my school and city. And it was all off the back of anger. Deep seated, burning, smoldering anger. I'm gonna get into why it is that way and how you can leverage it. So, first things first, it's often said, you'll hear often, everything in the media, people around you, teachers, parents, even sacred texts preach on not getting angry, not letting hate consume you, like Star Wars. Everywhere around you, it's you're told not to get angry, especially as a man. And the reason why that is, well, we can, ponder on that and argue and discuss, and there might be some possibilities. But let me first tell you what it was like for me as a kid growing up. I was very lucky to have a lot of opportunity available to me as a young kid. There was a lot possible in the place that I grew up, and I took every opportunity. Not so much because I was so diligent and because I was a hard worker or because, well, I was, but that's not the reason I did it. And there was also, at the same time, if you asked people, they would probably not think that I would be going anywhere, that I wouldn't be going any places in life. Just too much cards stacked against me. I won't get into the details, that's not the point of this video. But what was true and what I can tell you is that all these cards being stacked against me triggered a lot of anger in me. It felt like they were trying to take something from me, like something was being withheld from me. Something that was my birthright, something that I wanted. And I got I was pretty angry as a kid. And this caused me to prove everyone wrong. I was gonna prove everyone wrong. I was gonna rub it in their faces. And just a hunger and drive that was relentless. And to this day, when I say relentless, if we go on a vacation, I can't, I get bored. And the first day, I don't know what to do. It's like something that's bred so deep into me that I can't turn it off. And this led to me eventually going to top of the class, going into top high school, which was certainly not expected of me and almost resented by teachers and others. Then I went on to uni, first one out of my family, only one out of my family to ever have done that. And in uni, I started slowing down a little bit. I started being not so angry anymore. And that's also when my performance started stalling out. My 20s was more about enjoying life and having fun and drinking and partying and organizing events. And sure, I I performed in that segment, let's say, in that area. I turned that, even that, I tried to turn into a performance-based thing. I started organizing events and made a career out of that. So I guess even there, that came back up. But now that's all been course corrected. We cut out the partying and bullshit, and we're firmly back on track. We've been so for the last 5 years or so. But the thing was a lack of anger. Funny that anger was always driving me forward, and as soon as take away anger, now you start stalling out. Reasons why anger might be so beneficial and reasons why they tell you it's not, well, that we can philosophize on a little bit. So the reason I think anger is such a powerful emotion is because it's so mobilizing, it's so activating. Like few things get you moving more than anger does. And I'm not necessarily talking about being angry at the world, though that's usually some part of it. Usually you're also angry at yourself for not performing better, for not doing better. And I'm not arguing that you should hate yourself with a vengeance, but there is a part of you that should be critical of yourself. The sort of like the parent, the higher authority part of your ego that looks at yourself and knows you can do more. You know you can do more and you're not doing it, and you're all letting it slip out of your hands. You're wasting your potential. That will trigger anger. That will trigger anger. And that anger will translate into action, into drive, into forward momentum. Anger is also very good at overcoming obstacles, threats. You need a bit of anger to not feel the intimidation, to overcome the confrontation, the uncomfortableness of the confrontation. You need anger. If you ask me why it is that this is never openly discussed and this is never openly encouraged, is twofold. Maybe there are more reasons, but there are two on my mind. One is that, yes, it is true. To a certain extent, anger can backfire. You need to channel it in the right way towards the right outlets for it. You need to turn it into something productive and not destructive. Because it can certainly turn against yourself. So yeah, sure, there is a danger. Does that mean you shouldn't? As I was saying, it's a tool. Anger is a tool. The same way you can use a hammer to build a house or take it down, that's what anger is like. So you need to utilize it in the right way. That's one. That's true. That's important. The second way is, and I hate to be a conspiracy theorist, but it's not in the benefit of a lot of powers that be to educate the masses on being angry. They would just revolt and spring into action. Or in the very quote unquote worst case, they will get very productive, will get very, let's say, make a lot of progress and enhance, build out, expand their base of power and become a competition to the powers that be. Why would a church or religion tell people to be angry? Why would a government tell people to be angry? They do, they can, but they always do it and direct it at some outside force they need you to be angry at. Or something to distract you, you know, outrage over the latest specific war while there are dozens of wars going on around the world at all times. So that's a little bit about why it might be that we don't hear this message more often. So, what are practical applications of this? I think it's very simple. Contrary to telling yourself that your life is all peaches and rainbows and kittens and everything is fine and gravy, just have a hard look at the truth of the situation and ask yourself, what can you rightfully be angry about? And I say rightfully, because some things that you're angry about, you shouldn't really be angry about. But some things, yeah, you can have a right. And like I alluded to earlier in this video, I think usually the things that should anger you are actually things you are foregoing on yourself. In some cases, it might be that it's an outside force that your anger needs to be directed at. But a lot of the time, the only person that's failing you is you. You just need to figure out in which ways, and you need to figure out the consequences of that and have a reflection on that. And you need to make it part of your routine. Again, I'm not saying you should wallow in anger, walk around angry all the time, but there should be set moments during your day when you do different things. At the end of the day, you might reflect on the day and think what you're proud on, what you're proud about. That will give you a feeling of fulfillment, and it will reinforce your actions of that day. That's great. And then you can go rest knowing you did your part. It can also be quite personal. For me, I'm a bit of a slow riser. I wake up a bit slowly. And actually, in the morning, reminding myself and having a stern look at myself can actually nudge me into motion and wake me up and make sure I'm locked in. Because that's the result, the practical result of this is that you'll have more focus. You won't waver so much in your attention. So, takeaways. Realize that anger is a very powerful tool, one that you should utilize for good. Second is remember why you might not hear that message more often. It's not because it's wrong. There's particular reasons for it. And three, turn it into practical applications. I gave you some suggestions, but at the end of the day, everyone needs to figure that out for himself. So those are my thoughts on anger. It can be beneficial to go over this again and maybe save this video so you have the guidelines for it. If you like this video, I do more like this. I like to talk and reflect upon the lessons that I take, especially from martial arts, and apply it to business and life. So if that is something you're interested in, like the video, subscribe to my channel. I'm doing uploads every day. And I'll see you on the next one, gentlemen.